Picture this. You're sitting in a dead, silent exam room. The clock is literally ticking in the background, and you're staring down a completely blank page. We've all been there, right? Feeling that massive, high-stakes anxiety of having to just pull a perfect, compelling, argumentative essay out of thin air. But what if writing an essay wasn't about waiting around for some magic flash of inspiration? What if, instead, it was about following a rock-solid, reliable blueprint? Well, today in this explainer, we're diving into exactly that, the ultimate architectural blueprint for mastering the argumentative essay. We're going to be unpacking a fantastic newly published book today. It's called La Forma del Ensayo, Guía Práctica by Ray Luna Rodriguez. And if you catch the imagery of a classical column on the cover, it actually perfectly captures the core promise of the text. It's all about combining the solid, time-tested foundations of classical theory with highly practical modern exercises. It's not just throwing rules at you, it's designed to build your autonomy as a writer, giving you the tools to construct your very own pillars of argument. So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the challenge of writing. Then, who this guide is actually for. Third, classical rhetoric meeting modern essays. Fourth, the book's progressive methodology. And finally, the invitation to think. Let's jump right into section 1, the writing challenge. Writing under pressure is an absolute beast. It's rarely just about knowing your topic inside and out. It's really about organizing your complex thoughts logically, all while under the intense scrutiny of a ticking clock. Which brings us to a huge question. How do you build an argument that can withstand the absolute strictest evaluation criteria? It's the hurdle every single student faces. You've got the ideas, sure, but how do you make them bulletproof? The author recognized this universal struggle and positioned this guide as a rigid architectural approach. It's not just a loose collection of writing tips. The whole goal is to construct an argument that simply will not collapse under grading pressure, no matter how tough your examiner is. Moving on to section 2. Who is this guide actually for? It's absolutely crucial to understand exactly who benefits from this methodology. The author specifically designed this guide for students all across the Spanish-speaking world who are gearing up for major academic accreditation exams. Think about it. Whether you're prepping for the CENEVAL in Mexico, the EFESTAS in Colombia, the Exámenes Libres in Chile, or taking exams in Peru, Uruguay, or Bolivia, the evaluation criteria for a strong academic essay are strikingly similar across the board. So this isn't just abstract, high-level theory. It's a targeted, practical survival guide, engineered for these exact high-stakes environments.
Section 3. Classical Rhetoric for Modern Essays.
So how exactly does this book teach you to survive those brutal exams? Well, unlike traditional writing manuals that kind of just throw a bunch of random grammar rules at you without any real deliberate pedagogical logic, La Forma del Ensayo goes old school. And I mean really old school. It taps into the ancient, time-tested architecture of classical rhetoric to solve the very modern problem of writing a compelling academic essay. By treating your essay like a classical persuasive speech, it basically hands the modern student a fail-proof structure to lean on. You really see this classical architecture brought to life in the book's core structural chapters. It walks you step by step through the literal anatomy of the essay. Chapter 1 kicks off with the exordio. That's the classical term for the introduction that really hooks your reader and sets the stage. Then Chapter 2 dives deep into the explanation and argumentative proofs. That's the real meat and potatoes, the evidence of your essay. Chapter 3 hits the epilogue, or closing. And then chapters 4 and 5 bring the whole shebang together with structural integration and logical connectors. It's brilliant because it builds logically, starting from the very foundation and going all the way up to the roof. All right, section 4, a progressive methodology. Now, having a brilliant architectural blueprint is totally useless if you don't actually know how to follow it, right? So the author uses a very deliberate, step-by-step pedagogical progression to train students. Think of it like a ladder. First step, you learn the core concepts. Makes sense. Second step is guided recognition. You look at examples and identify the structures already at play. Third step is structured construction. This is where you start building your own arguments, but with heavy guidance, keeping the training wheels on. And finally, step 4 is free practice. This progression is huge because it safely and confidently guides you from just grasping basic ideas all the way to independent, confident free writing. Now, here is a super fascinating detail about how this book was actually created. 30%. While the core methodology was cooked up by the author over 10 years ago, he's incredibly transparent about the fact that roughly 30% of the exercise content was generated with AI support. But, and this is a massive but you need to catch, the author strictly supervised, corrected, and rewrote every single piece of that material. The goal was to guarantee 100% human rigor, coherence, and educational value. It's honestly a perfect blend of modern AI efficiency and meticulous human expertise. It's also really worth pointing out that this meticulous design extends right down to the look of the pages themselves. The visual layout of the book is highly functional. It relies heavily on clear tables, lists, and sharply defined structures. And this isn't just to make the book look pretty. It's a deliberate tool designed so that critical information is never lost or distorted while you're studying. The format itself is literally engineered to boost your understanding and retention.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, the invitation to think.
This really hits at the ultimate philosophy behind this entire methodology. In the prologue, the author delivers this seriously powerful thesis. He says, "Más que un compendio de ejercicios, este manual es una invitación a pensar bien, a escribir mejor." More than a compendium of exercises, this manual is an invitation to think well, to write better. I love this because it brilliantly illustrates that the true goal here isn't just passing a standardized test, though let's be real, it will certainly help you do exactly that. The ultimate aim is developing a lifelong ability to think critically and write with absolute precision, force, and clarity.
Which leaves us with this final, crucial thought for you today. Are you ready to stop staring at that blank page and start building your arguments like a classic architect? The tools of ancient rhetoric are honestly just as powerful today as they were thousands of years ago, especially when you apply them through a clear, modern, and progressive methodology. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope you take these structural principles and start applying them to your own learning and writing right away.